So, I got this model for free from my 3D printing guy. And please guys, don't lie, I know that you all have a contact like that. Someone who is very passionate about 3D printing, and from time to time this person gives you an extra free model. Do you? Well, I do. I have a guy like that. So, cheers to you, Chris, I'm talking about you. Thanks a lot for the model and many others. So, generally the model is great, but I did some stupid things with it. But initially, at the end, I think he turned out quite fine. So he got the usual prime and then a black coat, which was followed by a zenithal, and some panel lining with an oil wash. And now came the part where I made some mistakes. So I started spraying grey with the airbrush. And it was definitely too much grey. So then, unfortunately, I had to cover it up with some dark grey and afterwards with some black. And unfortunately, he doesn't look like a Black Templar. He looks rather like a dusty grey knight. So I am currently in the Renaissance phase for TMM. And I am really starting to appreciate the simplicity, the effectiveness and the time saved when using this technique. So it was a metallic paint, then a wash, some highlights with a brighter metallic paint, and the metallics were done. And of course we can't forget about the edge highlights. As always, I remind you to do them. The panels unfortunately won't separate without that. And you don't have to use brighter versions of the colors that you have on the panels. What exactly do I mean by that? And I'm talking about Space Marines, but this applies to any other model. So for example, red can be highlighted by yellow, black can be highlighted by purple or blue, green goes really nicely with flesh tones, and so on and so on. So the cape, as all of the smaller details, got a rather quick layering approach. For the cape, for example, it was a red base, then a lighter red for the highlights, and another one with an orange-red paint. A little bit of violet in the shadows for contrast, and it was done. So the skulls and the purity seals got more or less the same approach. So at this point I was still dissatisfied with the armor. So I started glazing black on the panels, but I didn't want to overdo it, so it was a rather thin glaze in just a few layers. Remember guys, to move your brush with the glaze from the highlight to the shadow in this case. If you want more instructions, I have a whole video on glazing. Check it out. So the sword was meant to be an eye-catching focus point of the model, so I put a little bit more effort into it. But it was nothing spectacular. So I was just layering a little bit of incubi darkness mixed with some ivory in different proportions. And I also did a little bit of glazing to soften the transitions. And there were the shoulders and the base. And after that the model was ready for show. So let's see it. So overall this was a very nice practice. I definitely have a better understanding on what should I do next with the next Black Templar. The armor has to be darker and he needs some good edge highlights. Those mentioned edge highlights as well as all of the other extra bits will help to separate the panels. He also needs 2 or 3 points of focus. For example, like weapons or purity seals. Something that will stand out, or maybe his PP cloth, or I don't know, some skulls, whatever. So overall I am happy with the result but not stoked with it. I could have done a lot better. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment, I will really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for joining me today. You are all spectacular and I really mean it. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Only a few subs separate me from 1K. Give a like, give a share, leave a comment. I will try to answer them all. So have a look at my Instagram or Patreon. Links to both of them will be visible in the video description. So take care guys and see you in the next one. And don't forget, the Emperor protects.